If you have the income as a veteran, there is no loan limits. You can buy a $2 million home.
What do you mean?
VA benefit is when it comes to buying a home.
Yeah.
It's zero down.
Yep.
It's no mortgage insurance. It's basically lower rates.
Yep. I was just gonna say
overall.
lower rates, easier standards, right? For qualifying.
Yes, for qualifying,
Yep.
and that's what most people don't understand.
Just because you see something affiliated with veteran or something, like, always do your research.
Keeping your ears open and constantly learning.
Yes.
So much that the veterans just don't know about what they can do and what benefits they have when it comes to buying a house. That is really why we're talking today. Welcome to Ask Ella Show. And today I have a new guest, a new friend, Alex Rojas with Stewart Title. And just like me, he just moved to the Phoenix area. And we're both exited Portland scene to the most part. And we're talking about all things VA today, not necessarily from the perspective of title and escrow, which is where Alex works, but from the perspective of a veteran. Alex is a veteran, and I'm going to let him tell the story. And with much ado, Alex, welcome.
Thanks, Ella. It's awesome that, you and I reconnected, as we were just saying. But I love that immediately we're able to really bond about this VA chapter for us. And so for me, VA has become a huge part of my life. I've been out of the Marine Corps now for 11 years.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I forgot to do that in the beginning.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. So
Semper Fi.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess to kind of give a little background for me, joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. Went and did that for just under 5 years. And then from there, I did personal training and then got into security work after that. So really stayed in like the military field per se for about 10 years. So
How many tours of duty did you do?
so in the Marine Corps, I did 2 deployments to Afghanistan. I did another one to Yemen, and then overseas doing security work. I lost count. I think a total, I think it's been like 9 or 10. So.
And thank God you came out unscathed.
Oh, yes. Very, very fortunate and thankful. So.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for your service, because without our brave men and women in uniform preserving our freedom, we wouldn't have what we have every day.
Yes.
So extremely thankful for that.
Yes. No, I'm thankful for everybody else. And that's kind of why, I've just naturally gotten geared into it. I think you and I talked a little bit about VA rep. Just randomly got stumbled in from a loan officer that I was working with back there in Oregon, and learned about the organization. And now I'm ready, as we talked about, trying to get that started right here in the Phoenix area. So,
And that would be awesome, because there is a lot of veterans here in the Phoenix area.
Yes, we got Luke Air Force Base. There's a lot of veterans. As I've started to just search on my own, I've been very, very surprised how many veterans are down here in Arizona. So it's very awesome.
It's amazing. And that is really why we're talking today, is because as you and I were chatting, there was so much that the veterans just don't know about what they can do and what benefits they have when it comes to buying a house.
Yes.
And since my show is really mostly about anything and everything related to buying, financing, to personal finance, it's a huge chunk of it that is just knowledge-wise is missing.
Yes. I mean, just all resources, I feel like in general for benefits for veterans are just very unknown. I really feel like, which is great, this is perfect, is I feel like social media is kind of helping a lot. Getting information out there and such for veterans. But, there is a program back in Oregon called ODVA.
Yes.
And as I said, I've been out of the Marine Corps since December 2014. And just last year, I learned about that program. So a resource that I could have utilized myself, I never knew about until I got into the real estate industry. So it's little things like that where the content is out there, the benefits are out there, the resources out there, but just it's not getting out to veterans as a whole. So
to me, it's heartbreaking, because it is such an amazing benefit that those who have served, and that includes not just active duty, it includes reservists, it includes the National Guard. It's up for grabs, and it's being completely underutilized.
Yes.
So that's where I think we need to tell people, and veterans specifically, what the benefit is, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And just it's not just hey, here's one benefit, right? There's multiple benefits
Exactly.
to just one of those resources and benefits, right? So as we kind of talked about, we can jump in about the VA loan itself, but
Right.
just this simple myth about you can only use your VA loan once, right?
Right. That just blows my mind.
Yes. Yeah.
That literally just blows my mind because
That's what I was under the impression of.
and you're not alone.
Right, yeah.
This is a conversation I have with veterans over and over and over again. It's like, I already use my VA, so I'm kind of screwed, right? Hell no. The answer is no, you're wrong.
Yes. There was a lot of things. I'm sure it's completely different now. But when I was the separations from the Marine Corps out, that was one of the things that we were kind of, it wasn't necessarily preached to us, right? But it was just kind of known within amongst each other. Because, oh yeah, I can only use it once. So I want to be smart with whatever house I do use this loan on. And it wasn't until years, and I think it was while I was contracting that I started finding buddies that were like, oh no, I've used it multiple times. I was like, what do you mean?
It's almost like you have to find that through the grapevine.
Yes.
So that's actually a perfect segue into talking about, I think, how so much of that misinformation, I don't want to say disinformation because it's not, it's just literally missing information comes about. Because if I understand correctly, when you're separating from service, and I've heard it from other service personnel who are either in the process of separating or already have separated, that you have to go through a series of classes, basically in the service, where they sit you down and they kind of sort of give you a rundown of what the benefits are. But that rundown turns out to be extremely lacking.
Yes.
So what do they tell you? I'm always curious.
Well, so, that's what's funny is I'm curious what it looks like these days, right? But back then, it was kind of like going through, I want to say it was maybe 2 weeks. It was either a week or 2 weeks. It wasn't very long. And it was kind of like going to like school. So we had like this little classroom, and I remember there was like 1 or 2 days where it was kind of like a job fair where they talked about all these different jobs that were available, that were veteran friendly, that they've obviously created relationships with this, back then we called it SEPS and TAPS program, to try to gain veterans to employ. But then it was also giving us the benefits of the VA, right? So, hey, you have this VA loan. Hey, there's this, there's that. And another thing that's very interesting is the whole disability process. So disability percentages and compensation. So I wasn't really made aware of it at all. And at the time, just personally where I was at, I wasn't really interested in it either. And while I was out and I was a personal trainer, got connected with this veteran group, put on a group fitness class for them. Well, just so happened that one of the attendees was actually a corpsman with one of my corpsmen when I was in service. So we immediately bonded, and he just kind of took me under his wing and got me set up with that. So once again, it was finding out through the grapevine about these benefits and resources that I wasn't really, I was, I guess in a way, told about, but wasn't explained how to properly do and take advantage. So
it's interesting, before I start dropping bombs, how you're expected to give it all for the country, and yet you're not told what you come out with in terms of benefits and how to properly apply and use them.
Yeah.
And that is just mind-blowing to me, where millions upon millions are spent on the homeless, the illegals, the this, that, and the other, all kinds of BS programs overseas. And yet we don't take care of our own, especially, again, those who are technically expected to give it all.
Yeah.
So that is wrong on so many levels.
Yes.
I can't even start to describe it.
Oh, yeah.
And part of what I've been trying to do over my career is educate my veteran clients and the real estate agents who work with them on, at least I can give the rundown of all the VA benefits, because frankly, that is not my forte, not my lane. But when it comes to loans, that is my lane. That is my forte. That is my expertise. That's where I try to provide as much as I can in terms of financial and benefit education to the veterans who well deserve it.
Yes. Yes. And, it's funny because initially, I think it was, I don't necessarily remember if it was through SEPS and TAPS, but, just kind of learned about the Veterans United, right? And I'm not bashing Veterans United at all whatsoever. But it was,
sorry, I couldn't help it.
So for me, it was just kind of like where I steered, and I think it was more just because of the name, right? The name of the brokerage. So with that, I leaned into them, but everybody wasn't a veteran, right? And so everyone who worked there. And so for me, I actually used them. We had our own real estate agent. And then as we were looking for a house, ended up meeting somebody else who their husband was also a veteran. He was a Marine Corps veteran. And so I immediately switched agents because we had that bond. She was super knowledgeable about benefits for veterans. Well, that just made more sense to me. And so then she connected me with a different loan officer who
actually knew.
Exactly. And so then it was mind opening how I guess a lot of time, and I'm sure you've seen, I'm not saying that Veterans United do this. I'm saying a ton of different programs as a whole take advantage of the unknown for veterans.
Exactly. And I don't want to bash Veterans United either. Yeah. But yes, a lot of veterans fall in the trap of Veterans United must be somehow VA affiliated or somehow VA connected, which in lending, as we know, you cannot pretend to be affiliated with a government agency, whether it's VA, whether it's FHA. None of us are directly connected to the Veterans Administration.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We all write VA loans. We all do VA loans, but we're not, again, agents of the VA. And in a name, yes, the name can mislead you to think that it somehow is veteran specific.
Yes. Like I'm going to get extra benefits because I go to them.
Correct. Yes. Correct. So that's a PSA right there. Just because it says veteran something in the name does not necessarily mean that it is veterans something in reality.
I think for me, I just recently, this is actually perfect. It just dawned on me. Yesterday, met with a client who is an agent in the Arizona area, and he's also a veteran. And so for him, he was saying that his veteran clients are like distrusting of him initially because he's not part of Veterans United or a veteran branded brokerage, right? So for him, I was kind of saying, well, lean on your veteran status. Like for me personally, that was what, geared me towards buying my home was the agent's husband was a veteran. I felt more comfortable that I was going to be taken care of from a veteran perspective rather than the branding of a veteran-friendly company, right?
Same actually goes to a larger extent with, and I'll use that example because I've stumbled into it over and over. And when you run into something the first time, you think, okay, it's a happenstance, right? You run into it a couple of times, okay, it's a coincidence. And then more than two, that's a pattern. So USAA, yes, they are technically a veteran-centered entity.
Yes.
And yes, they tout their insurance services. What I've noticed through experience working with veterans is that USAA actually is great for insurance coverage, insurance rates, but mostly in the urban areas. Once you step out of the urban area, they're not as competitive. But I've seen veterans stick with the USAA insurance and overpay for insurance, which then also raises their housing payment because homeowners insurance is part of the monthly payment. Because again, it's a veteran affiliated somehow entity.
Yeah.
So
I'm guilty of that myself, right?
So just because it says military, VA, veterans, it doesn't mean that you're getting the best representation necessarily, the best price or the best service.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's kind of same thing with agents, right? There's military relocation professionals. There's certain certifications, designations that they can go through. But just because somebody has a designate, it's kind of like a bachelor's degree. Right?
They set through a class.
What's that?
I said they sat through class.
Yes, exactly. Right. So
you get a designation by basically, sitting through class or
Yes.
2 or 10, whatever.
Yeah. So,
and again, I'm not knocking that.
No, not at all. But my thing is, just because you see something affiliated with veteran or something, like, always do your research. Always try to find somebody, like how I did, right? You talk to other veterans, you find out people who have used other different things, who have actual firsthand experience doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, and learn that way. Don't just go off of a branding. So that's why I always feel like networking is so huge, right?
It is huge. It is huge, and it's keeping your ears open and constantly learning.
Yes.
And that's what I do on my side of the fence. I constantly learn, just like, when it comes to VA. So we touched on the veterans not knowing that they can reuse their VA benefit more than once when it comes to buying homes. And there's multiple instances where a veteran can buy a house once and at zero down, essentially. So let's actually go back and just recap real quick what the VA benefit is when it comes to buying a home. It's zero down. It's no mortgage insurance. It's basically lower rates
I was just
overall.
Lower rates, easier standards, right? For qualifying.
Yes, for qualifying. And that's what most people don't understand. But it also generates a lot of myths as a result.
Yes. And, kind of go back to the whole only use it once. I had a buddy who, so from what I was unaware of, was you have your certificate of eligibility, you have your quantity of what you're approved for, right? Well, you can use that loan for, we'll just say, a quarter of it, right? To put down on a home or buy a home. So you buy that home, well, you can still use the remainder amount to go buy another home or another home.
It's called either the remaining entitlement or the bonus entitlement.
Right, yeah. So,
and there's a formula that we just plug in that calculates out whether you can still go in at zero down in the next home or whether it will require a down payment.
Right.
It all depends on how much you've used up.
And, so it's not just hey, I buy a home, I use it once. It's, you can use it for multiple different loans with that one amount. And then at the same time, once you buy that house, we'll just say, you bought one house. Then when you sell it and it gets paid off, now you can reuse that loan. So if you maxed it out, right?
So you just restored your eligibility by paying off the VA loan.
Yep.
And even if I've seen it over and over again, just because as a veteran, maybe somebody had a foreclosure or a short sale back in the day of the crash. Or some had even before that. I've seen that as well. Just because there is a hit on the entitlement, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody doesn't qualify again.
Right.
Or can get another VA loan.
Yes.
I'd say it's probably 70-30 to where there is still something to be done. Versus the 30% where, okay, we're kind of screwed.
I guess what have you seen when it comes to any issues at all for veterans in dealing with loans? Like, I don't ever hear of any issues when it comes to the VA loans.
The biggest issue, well, there's a couple of issues. And they really have to do with income and employment. So where VA is incredibly lenient, and by the way, before I launch into that tirade, let me launch into another one. Whereas the VA doesn't underwrite to debt-to-income ratios. It underwrites to residual income. So the debt-to-income ratios really don't matter. And you can really dedicate 70% of your income towards the housing payment and still qualify. Whether it's a wise financial decision is a whole other conversation because everybody's situation is different. I'm not promoting that necessarily. But that's just to say that the VA underwrites to a different standard. And even during the crash, VA loans, which is also another misconception, zero down, no skin in the game. Like, one more time I hear it, I'm going to slap somebody silly.
I don't understand
because it's underwritten to a different standard. And you're no skin in the game. I'm sorry, you already gave your skin. You already served. So talk about skin in the game, for God's sakes. But on a serious note, VA loans outperformed, being zero down loans to the most part, outperformed everything else because they are underwritten to residual income, to an entirely different standard. Can you afford the damn payment?
And then the benefit of waiving the funding fee for if you have any type of disability percentage, that's very unknown. Very unknown.
Exactly. So one of the first questions I always ask my veterans, do you have any VA-related disability, because most of the time when we're just talking it's a beginning conversation, I don't have the COE at my disposal.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't have a COE, I don't know if they have a disability.
Right.
And one of the other misconceptions that I've run across too is that, well, I only have so many percent. I'm not 100% disabled. I'm like, oh my God, stop. Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can be 1% disabled.
Yep.
And you're entitled to waive the VA funding fee.
Yep. So you're talking about that, and then
it's a chunk of money.
Yeah. So you're talking about that, and then getting rid of the mortgage insurance, like that's
Right.
just so huge that people don't really understand. And I think one of the biggest pieces that people need to take advantage of is finding a side-by-side, right? A loan officer who's going to show you the actual benefits. Here's what we're looking at to use your VA loan. And then here's what a conventional loan would look like if this was the route that you were going. Just so that veterans can actually like see. Wow.
Side by side,
Yes,
literally.
like, wow, I am like
you're leaving money on the table, essentially.
Yes.
If we're not using your VA benefit.
Yes. Because I've heard people say, well, I want to wait until I find my dream home before I utilize this benefit.
Like, dude, what?
Yes. Yeah. No, how about you use it right now, and then you can use it again, use it towards something else.
And even better yet, if you have the income as a veteran, there is no loan limits.
Yes.
You can buy a $2 million home at zero down and no MI. I mean, what else can you do that with?
Yes. Well, and as we're talking about utilizing it multiple times, I think one piece I really want to start kind of helping veterans learn about is just the educational piece about investment with real estate, right? So a lot of people, they're thinking of utilizing this to buy their dream home, right? But what is the average first-time home buyer? They're moving in what, 7 years is the
It used to be about 7. I think it moved up to 10.
Yeah.
I would need to check those numbers.
Right. So just because you use this, like, you're not going to, don't think of every single home as your dream home, right? Because you can use this for generational wealth, essentially, right? So
and that's what 60% of generational wealth comes from real estate.
Yes, exactly. So
that's a huge number.
Thinking of those terms, right? As much as I think it is great to absolutely, if this is your dream home, go after it, right? But if we're being realistic, if somebody is just getting married, right? Or if they're still young, they're probably going to grow out of whatever that first house is. And so if they're going to grow out of it, think in the long terms of the equity that's going to grow. Think of how you can now utilize that to grow not just wealth for your own portfolio, but then also to start utilizing to get into whatever that dream home really is.
So yes, you can buy your first home using the VA.
Yeah.
And then if you have enough entitlement left, move on to bigger and better, and then turn the first one into a rental.
Exactly.
And start building out your real estate portfolio.
Yep. Well, and that was the other piece.
And the VA doesn't prohibit from that.
Yes, I was just going to say, that was one myth that I was initially told about was when I buy and use the VA loan, I can't rent it out to anybody.
After 12 months, yes, you can.
Yes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you could even do it immediately if you are still if that's still your primary residence, but you have multiple bedrooms, you could still rent out those bedrooms.
You can still rent out those bedrooms. Yeah. And if you declare that income on taxes, you can actually use it to qualify for the next one for income. I'm not encouraging anybody to not. Or to not report it.
Yes,
but on a serious note, yes, because you're still owner-occupying a home. You're just renting out a couple of rooms in the house. There's actually another piece to it. So if you're still in active duty and you bought a house, but now you're being transferred.
Yep. If you have transfer orders. Yeah.
Exactly. You can keep the house, rent it out, and then buy another house in the new location where you're being transferred, of course, if you're still stateside.
Yeah, if you have a PCS move and it's within that 1 year, because of those orders, it doesn't matter that you have to move. They'll still waive that and you can start renting that out.
So you asked me earlier about what pitfalls or what challenges can there be with the VA loan? And I got segued.
We both did.
We're good at that. Yeah. Because there's so much to talk about, really. It's like one step leads to the next, and then you end up on a totally different path. But one of the biggest issues that I ran into with VA is with so one is the part-time income. VA is not very friendly to part-time income. If somebody's part-time, they have to be part-time for at least a year because the income gets averaged out. So that's where it gets serious as a heart attack. So unfortunately, I mean, I've had to learn that the very hard way. It was kind of one of those, go-go modes, and then you hit a brick wall at a speed of about 100 miles an hour. That was me. I mean, most of what I know, I've learned by damn near breaking my head.
Yeah, I think a lot of us.
Right. I mean, I do read the guidelines. Don't take me wrong. It's just some things you don't even think of the first time it happens. And we're talking years ago. We're not talking yesterday.
Right.
So part-time income is one of the complications when it comes to VA.
Okay.
New income, when you've separated from service.
Oh, yeah.
And the new income, the new job, most of the time has to be somehow related. You have to have a job history. So for your service to count as history, you basically have to get a job in the same field as what your military job was.
Yeah.
So if you were a mechanic in the armed forces, you got a mechanic's job, great, you're golden. But if you were a mechanic, and now you're going into an entirely different field, that may cause hiccups.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you explain like what the average is for that? Like to actually qualify somebody?
Average.
Like time span that somebody would need that. So if they did go into
if they're changing professions, I'll have to double check the guides. But I would recommend, off the top of my head, I would recommend a year. If they retrained, then the retraining counts. So then there is so if somebody came out of the service, took a professional course, we would need to see the course completion documentation, and then they can obviously, qualify.
Yeah.
But again, and the same thing actually applies basically with any loan. Like if you're coming out of college with, I don't know, a basket weaving degree. Or, I mean, I always exaggerate and say like you can go from a doctor to a lawyer or backwards.
Yeah.
So it still has to be, there has to be continuity for the job history because that's a projection basically of job stability. And that's what we look for on the mortgage side.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's been a big thing. Another hiccup I've run into, I mean, there's a few, the income and job stability has been really the biggest one. The other one I've learned literally, that was another one, break your neck, run into a brick wall situation, embarrassing as all get up. VA is the only loan that does look at who's on the loan.
Oh, yes.
And if you're married or not.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no other loan type that basically restrict your co-borrowers or your co-signers.
Yes. That's actually a good point because, yes, if you are a veteran and you're dating somebody and you want to utilize your VA loan, you guys have been dating for a while, you buying a house together, that person cannot be on the loan.
Actually, no. They can, but it's restricted in a different way.
Really?
See, another myth.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk through that one.
Let's do it.
It's not that they're restricted from being on the loan.
Okay.
And it's not that you can't have a parent co-sign for, let's say, a young veteran coming out of the service. It's the non-veteran party to the loan has to bring in their down payment. So it's no longer 100% loan. So the veteran's entitlement covers the veteran, but it doesn't cover anybody but a spouse.
Okay.
So if they're married, it's still 100, and the other party, the other spouse, can be a non-veteran all day long. And they can totally go for 100% loan.
Right.
But if it's a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, which is how I learned, they were actually engaged. And they were a few months away from getting married. So we had to wait till they got married.
I was just going to say, please tell me they waited.
Well, we actually had to stop the presses. Luckily, we were in the pre-approval process. So we had to stop the presses and then restart once they actually got the marriage certificate. We had to send it to VA, the fun stuff. But the other party, like I said, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, parent, relative, whatever, they're not covered by the 100% VA guarantee.
Okay.
So they are responsible for bringing in a portion of the down payment that is not covered by the VA guarantee and the COE. And typically, roughly, there is a worksheet for everything. There is a VA worksheet that's a royal pain in the rear. It's one of those.
It's the government, so I'm not
government.
surprised.
Yes, right. It's like as backwards of a form as can be.
Sounds about right.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, when you run through math, no matter what the scenario, like literally doesn't matter what numbers you plug in, you always end up with roughly 12.5% of a down payment from the non-veteran co-borrower.
Wow.
That's all it is, 12.5%.
So it's very interesting. So my, I guess, example that I was going to use was I knew somebody who they were in boyfriend, girlfriend situation. The veteran used the loan just for himself. So he was the only one on the loan. And then years later, they ended up breaking up. They never got married. But then he wanted to help her out. And so he actually had her assume the loan. And so, I was very surprised because as the myth was, I didn't know that, or I was under the assumption that they couldn't be on the loan if they were not a veteran. But because she was able to assume it, I was a new learning curve for me. So that was one piece that I definitely learned about. But now I just learned that initially she could have been on the loan.
Right.
Just would have had to bring the down payment. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So assumption. That's, oh my God. Well, you just open up another can of worms. Let's just toss the can of worms down the rabbit hole and follow it.
Yeah.
Assumptions. So VA loans, in my opinion, unfortunately, and you may disagree with me, but VA loans, unfortunately, may be assumed. So it is one of the really two loan types that are assumable, VA and FHA. And you and I know, and so for the audience, basically, the assumption means that you as a buyer can take over the balance of somebody else's loan if you're approved by the lender to do so. The process takes anywhere from 4 to X number of weeks. 4 is pretty much unheard of. So figure about 2-3 months on average. You still have to bring in a down payment to bridge the gap between the loan you're taking over and the price of the home. But basically, the reason for assumption, especially now when the interest rate environment is still quote unquote elevated, which is like really actually more like normal. The point is that those who were lucky and able to get the 2 and 3% rates, somebody assuming the loan can inherit or assume that 2 and 3% interest rate on the first mortgage. Now, FHA is FHA, so that's kind of off the table right now, but VA does not require a person assuming to also be a veteran.
Correct.
And that's the part that I don't agree with. And I also think that it can do a lot of damage to the veteran whose loan is being assumed, because when it's another veteran assuming, the eligibility, the COE of the assuming veteran is being used. The eligibility of the assuming veteran is being used, and it basically, the eligibility transfers into the new assuming veteran's name.
Yeah.
But when it's a non-veteran, it affects the veteran's eligibility who took out the original loan. And I've seen a few instances, not too many, but I've seen a few to where it scared the living daylights out of me. Where whoever assumed the loan defaulted on it, and it went against the original veteran's eligibility.
For the utilizing the loan again.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was...
So that's where yeah,
that was the piece that I was going to get at was, for that situation, she was able to assume the loan. She didn't have to do a down payment, but had to obviously do the closing costs, pay for closing costs. So she paid for the closing costs, assumed the loan. But yes, because she is a non-veteran, he had to wait until whenever she does end up, getting a refinancing for a different rate, using a different loan.
Basically, the veteran is on the hook
until
indefinitely.
They pay it off. To then get his benefits back. So it was a conversation that they obviously had to have, and I think they were together for 7 years. So
it's more of a common law marriage than the actual, piece of paper
it wasn't
marriage.
like 2 years that they were together or something short. So they were definitely together for a while. So it had to come down to a conversation of, yes, you can take advantage of this right now. I'm going to help you assume the loan. Just so you're aware, I can't use those benefits until you refinance, use a different loan to then pay off the loan that I have, and I can reclaim my benefits. So
Exactly. So it's again,
but once again, another myth.
Another myth. And I, again, not a fan of non-veteran assumptions of the VA loans because it really does leave the veteran on the hook.
Yeah.
You don't know who that person is. You don't know what's going to happen in their life. I mean, obviously, a GF of many years.
Yeah.
Different story.
Yeah.
And she still had anybody who's assuming the loan, veteran or non-veteran, they still have to qualify.
Yeah. So I guess, can you explain that part from the loan side? Because I don't know all the details when it came to that. Was there anything specific that would be different for her because she was a non-veteran?
It's not different. It's the same process, but because the assumption is done directly with the lender who holds the paper, who holds the loan, we have no room to engage.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So no, we don't get involved in any type of assumptions as mortgage lenders, mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, because again, that's a direct process between somebody assuming the loan and the lender who holds the paper and what their requirements are. But their requirements basically follow the standard set of guidelines.
Right.
As far as I know, it's pretty much the same standard guidelines that have to be adhered to.
Whatever that veteran originally, whatever standards they were, it's just going to be the same thing whenever she did to do it.
Yep. Oh. So she still has to have the income and the credit to carry the paper.
Oh, interesting.
And to satisfy the payments.
See, learning something new still. Still learning, learning.
Daily occurrence right here too.
What other myths can you think of from your side that you dealt with personally?
Oh my gosh. One of my biggest pet peeves, and thanks for asking, is sometimes the pushback on the, again, no skin in the game. That just gets my blood boiling to curdling point.
Yeah.
The other one is because we're not just working with the veteran buyers or veteran clients to refinance them. We're also working on the purchase side. We're working with two sets of agents typically.
Yes. Yeah.
And the lack of knowledge in the real estate community is another piece that bothers me to no end. And that's why I've been doing VA myths and misconception classes for the real estate community for God knows how many years now.
Yeah.
I want to say probably well over 10 out of my 30 in the industry. Because once you realize that there's just a lack of knowledge, you kind of want to fill the gap.
Yes.
If you were me, you want to fill the gap.
Yes.
And the misconceptions are about pretty much everything that we've discussed before, but there is two more that are also, they're just so old and outdated urban myths, urban legends that are really no longer in play. So one is, well, the appraisals always come in low on VAs.
Really? That was a myth.
Oh, you thought so too?
Sure, I'm curious where that came from.
Okay, so yes, there are still some VA appraisers who think they're doing veteran a service by bringing the price down so that the seller would drop the price too. At least, that's kind of how the story goes, I think. But a VA appraiser is just another appraiser, basically. And no, their goal is not to drop the price.
Right.
And if the price does come in low, the Tidewater process comes into play, which is essentially a reconsideration of value for the appraisal. So it still is debatable.
Yeah.
And there are other ways to bridge the gap if the appraisal comes in low. So is it a situation that comes up often? Hell no. By the same token, I had a conventional loan up in Seattle just about a month ago come in $100K under the contract price.
Wow.
A conventional.
Okay.
So don't tell me that it's VA only.
Right.
This stuff happens.
Yeah. Geez, that's
very rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, it's really not that different than any other appraisal in terms of value.
Yeah.
There is a misconception that, again, on the appraisal, that the appraisers are tougher on the property. Hell no. It's the same health and safety standard that we have pretty much on all Govy loans.
I do actually remember that myth when I was going through a home buying process. I do remember, I believe it was our agent was talking about how, yeah, it's going to be a lot more stricter because the government is backing the loan, that they have these more strict guidelines. And so more things are going to be popping up. It's going to be more thorough inspection. And yeah. So that was
I roll in all kinds of phases with it. And see, that is one of the bigger, again, that's from way back in the day, probably. Condition-wise, it's no different than FHA. It looks for the same health and safety.
Yeah.
No peeling paint, no broken windows, no broken doors, no dry rot, wet rot.
Yeah.
Roof has to have 3 remaining years of life on it. The usual, essentially.
Yeah.
Utilities have to be on. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get any more basic than that, right?
Yep.
So that's from when it comes to the appraisal. There is that huge misconception that it's going to be a hell of a lot tougher to deal with, therefore let's not.
Yeah.
One more is that, no, we don't want to look at the VA offers because the seller has to pay all closing costs.
I have not heard that one.
Lucky you. Again, wrong.
Yeah.
It's in the guidelines. It specifically lines out which items the veteran is not allowed to pay for, and doesn't say all closing costs. There are literally 2 or 3 line items that apply here geographically, because it literally addresses all of the line items across the country. So there are certain parts of the country, well, regionally things differ a little bit in terms of what gets charged for certain closing costs and services. And it has a list of what's allowed, what's not allowed. And it's really not, again, all closing costs, all inclusive. It's specific line items.
Yeah.
Like the escrow fee in the escrow states. So typically the escrow fee is split between buyer and seller on any regular loan. On the VA loan, the veteran is not allowed to pay for the escrow fee. That's like one line item. I mean, that's like not all closing costs. Come on.
Say, but that one line now becomes all.
I mean, yes, there is a limitation to how much a veteran can be charged. So that is really in place.
Yeah.
And without getting way too technical on it, I'd say 90% of the time, those closing costs get negotiated through normal negotiation process, just like it would on any normal transaction.
Yes.
So it's really no different.
Yes. Yep.
So big whoop. But a little unknown thing, and you coming from the title side, you tell me if that still holds. Most escrow companies will offer a veteran discount on some of their services, but you have to ask for it.
It's very interesting because, now that I've moved from Oregon down to Arizona, I'm finding new things. Obviously, I've only been here for a couple weeks now. So still in the learning process of the different pieces of
It's
Arizona.
an adjustment period.
Yes. But one thing was, back in Oregon, all title companies had to charge the same fees. So
Here they vary significantly.
yes. So that piece totally threw me off. And it depends on the title company, how they are putting everything in place. So I actually just, I think it was on Monday, there was, on Monday I had this veteran client who just asked about it, about, hey, do you guys provide a veteran discount? I meant to ask my escrow officer and I forgot. So I should have been prepared for this podcast, but from what I was aware of back in Oregon, there was not a actual discount for veterans. That it was already that there was something that was waived, but it wasn't like specifically pertaining to, like, it wasn't like coded as a veteran discount.
Interesting. So it does vary state by state quite a
Yes.
bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Now, on the difference between states, something that the veterans need to look into, and it also varies literally state by state, and that's for disabled veterans. Each state will have their own rules, so I can't speak to every single one, but it is worthwhile for the veterans to check if their property taxes get reduced or waived depending on their VA disability.
Yes, that was another piece. I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to bring that up earlier. So thank you, because it spaced me.
There's so much.
I know, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Is there's so many different things that it's understandable why so many things get missed, right? Because if there's all these different tools and all these different benefits, but then there's so many spider webs to each benefit, it's hard to remember every single thing. And so for one person trying to educate a veteran or somebody even just trying to educate a real estate agent to educate a veteran, right? Things are just going to get missed. So when it comes to the taxes, that's another piece. Property taxes are obviously going to vary per state. And that's
But the exemptions also vary per state.
Exactly. I was just going to say, and then the percentages, your disability percentages are going to vary per state. And so that's something that I feel like everybody should be more aware of, because that should be then calculated right into.
That is such a huge benefit.
Yes.
To also leave, on the table.
Yep.
Without looking into it. And now with ChatGPT, you can do the research in like 30 seconds flat. Yeah. I mean, granted, ChatGPT is not necessarily the end all be all and 100% correct. So verify.
Yes.
But the research is a lot simplified.
Yeah. Yeah. And
at least it can point you in the right direction where you can source it.
Yes.
And make the phone calls, but it spares you hours of anguish.
Yep. And, I think a lot of things with the disability percentage, right? Like, I think that should be told to you during that disability process, right? Like, hey, as you're going through your disability process and finding out your percentages and everything, like that should be in the process of, oh, hey, because you have X percentage, like you just not qualified for this piece and that piece and that piece. And it's not talked about at all.
Like, what state are you moving to? Go talk to the tax, tax people at the county and see, what you qualify for.
Yep. Or even just, hey, now that you have this disability percentage, now your funding fee for your VA loan, if you ever use it, this is now waived, right? Like, just information like
Some
that.
locales have VA-centered or VA-specific down payment assistance too.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you can negotiate the seller to pay closing costs, well, you may be leaning on the VA down payment assist.
Yep.
That comes in the form of free grants.
Yep.
It's like free money. Again, leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
So there is that. Speaking of myths, there is one, it will probably make you laugh. So besides the fact that, and I think I know where the myth comes from, because two different things get meshed into one and get twisted, turned around, and spit out in a different way. Mm-hmm. So yes, we can do loans for surviving spouse of a deceased veteran who died from a VA-related injury or disability. I mean, we're talking Agent Orange, we're talking so many others, but somehow it gets misconstrued into, well, my parents served, so I have now their benefits, so I should be able to buy a house with zero down.
I get it.
Make you laugh.
Definitely made me laugh. But yeah,
I mean, yes, USAA will give you an insurance policy because your parent was a veteran.
Yes.
The VA loan, however, not so much.
No, yes. Yeah, I can absolutely understand where people can get that misconstrued, but yeah, that's not the case. So yeah. I feel like there's a lot of things like that when it comes to veterans where one piece, leads into a different avenue where now all of a sudden somebody thinks that they're going to be getting X amount of dollars because they did, whatever. Well, I think it kind of comes down to the eligibility, right? Mm-hmm. The certificate of eligibility. Like those pieces are completely different depending on being active duty and National Guard.
Right.
And so everybody kind of who's not in the community, right? They just assume everybody is the exact same, right? Everybody has done the exact same stuff. And so if somebody is just talking from the outside, talking to a veteran, oh, so you qualify for this, like you should utilize this. Not everybody is going to actually be qualified for whatever that benefit actually is. Right.
What's completely different segue, but there's been multiple times when I've literally had to, I wouldn't say interrogate, because that's too strong of a word, but I had to back into a VA loan with a client, with a veteran, just by having found out when they send in their documents, finding out that they have a VA disability payment or VA pension payment.
They weren't,
and they weren't applying
with a conventional.
Yes, and they weren't applying for a VA. So kind of taking us back to the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like going backwards, like, wait, why didn't you tell me that before?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
what was their explanation?
They didn't think they could use it again.
Yeah. Like we said.
So it's kind of funny, not funny.
Right.
There's been a few instances that were interesting, probably also will make you chuckle. There was one particular example, no names, where he did tell me about the VA something or other. So I asked him about the VA loan and the COE. And when we pulled the COE, he came back with a goose egg because he was literally discharged out of the service medically within like months.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I was
and it's like, if you don't tell me that up front,
yes.
Don't lead me down the rabbit hole, please,
Yes.
because you should know that if you only served less than a required amount.
That's kind of where I was getting at. I don't want to fully expose it, but I mean, that's really where I was at. A lot of people will say, oh, I went to boot camp, or, oh, I was a Marine, or I was a soldier, or something like that. And then they end up, unfortunately,
some people do get medically discharged during their boot camp. I mean, it just happens.
But you didn't do the time.
Right.
So where somebody immediately says, you can do this, not everybody.
So it's the minimum time.
Yeah.
And again, if somebody needs to know minimum time, they can always reach out to me and I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's honorable discharge.
Yep. Yeah.
Sometimes with less than honorable discharge, depends on the discharge.
Oh,
the
really?
eligibility can be worked with, or we can still do a loan and still have a guarantee issued. But it's a deeper dive when it's less than honorable discharge.
Yeah.
Because I think over my career, I've only seen one with dishonorable discharge. I know it happens a lot more than that. But I've only seen one dishonorable discharge and was like, okay, we're done.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's...
but I did see a couple just in the last year where they were less than the required service time.
And they were able to get approved?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just saying I've
seen them come in.
Seen them come in with them claiming that they should be able to get a VA loan.
Yeah.
The one instance where, again, on the heartbreaking level, amazing couple, disabled veteran, well, he was a National Guardsman out of Oregon. And we tried for probably 6 months to piece together the eligibility because when he was in the National Guard, and we're talking, they're older, so those records are all handwritten, archived, God help you. If you've ever had to deal with the government anything, this takes it to the whole next level because the VA archives are a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
Not only did he serve eons ago in the National Guard, but he also served in 3 different states.
Oh, geez.
So we had to piece together days of service in each of the states.
Yeah.
And even though it looked like we had enough, the VA was still not issuing a COE. So we had to go with a down payment assist FHA instead. But it took us literally almost 6 months of chasing down VA, both my team and the veteran's wife, just constantly calling the VA, calling the archives, calling the different advocacy groups in 3 different states, trying to piece together, like I said, months here, months there.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were talking about earlier. Is I wasn't even aware of that with the automation, right? So if you were if all your paperwork was archived, and I just assumed because of technology that everything would be uploaded these days,
right? And
even if it was archived.
So thank you for that, bringing that back. But the COEs are not instant. Well, they are. I'd say probably 70 to 80% of the time.
Right. Yeah.
If you've served in like last 20, 25 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's all pretty much the computer age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything that's prior to, and the further back you go, the less chances we have of the actual COE being generated automatically. Then we have to go to the VA for the COE to be produced. And if you have to go to archives, like I said, God help you, get involved with your local advocacy group or, get their help from the get-go. Don't try to go it alone, because if you think that's painful, you have no idea.
Yeah, seriously. Just dealing with the VA alone by yourself is...
Yeah, exactly. It's an undertaking.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like a whole other degree of difficulty.
That's another that's like a 3-series podcast.
Right, exactly. So again, COEs, are the crux of the VA approvals. The COE has to be there. We have to have it.
Well,
and if
then
you lose
also-
your DD-214, that also puts you in a world of hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So guard that piece of paper with your life.
Yes.
That's like biggest piece of advice. Do not lose it.
And so you also mentioned how the manual COE would come about if for a surviving spouse.
Correct.
Right. So if there's no, if they have to go through the archives and everything for that, on top of now they have to manually do it because it's a surviving spouse.
Yep.
It's just a huge hiccup. So
government.
yes, anything government related is going to be a pain. So.
Exactly. So again, DD-214, if like you do one takeaway from this convo, guard your DD-214 with your life, put in a safety box,
Yep.
Do not lose it.
Yes.
Sometimes restoring those is a whole other process.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that was basically what I got told when I was separating, and I had this, which I still have, this black zipped pouch. Yes, thank you. Can't. So this black pouch and has a zipper on it, and so that's what they told me. Like, put your DD-214, put all your other paperwork, medical records, put it in here, and put it in a safe spot that you will never lose. So I keep it in my So I'm never going to get rid of that, and I'm glad somebody told me about that because I don't want to run into all those issues.
Oh, there's been a few times when we've had to chase those down too, or pull them from archives. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, Alex, thank you so much for the conversation today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope we have cleared up at least a few of the
myths. Yeah. Yeah, and I really am excited for our partnership and friendship, and really trying to get that word out there for veterans and for agents and for everybody in the real estate industry, right? To be able to actually help veterans and get the word out of all the different resources, all the different benefits, so everybody can properly take advantage of it. So.
Absolutely. And I'm proud to work for a company, Fairway Home Mortgage, that very much supports our veterans. We're, I believe, in the top 5 VA lenders in the country. And we, again, proudly support our AWI, American Warrior Initiative.
Yeah.
And we give away dogs to service dogs to the deserving veterans all over the country. And I think we've done well over 300 dogs this year, and that's this year alone. So we try to do and give back to the veterans through local communities and our efforts. So not just providing the education, but also helping the veteran community, whichever way we can.
Yeah, and
it's important.
Myself and I kind of just want to speak for veterans. Thank you for doing stuff like that because it means a lot for veterans to be seeing organizations that are kind of going out of their way, especially ones that aren't veterans themselves, right? That are run by just regular civilians, and they just want to give back and help. And one of my prior escrow officers back in Oregon, her father was in the military, and so she's a huge supporter. Got involved with this organization, Veteran Outlanders, and the amount of time and passion that she puts into this organization, it means a lot to me. So thank you, Shanna, if you see this. But just seeing other people caring for veterans in that way means a lot. So thank you for your organization doing that. Thank you for bringing me on. Thank you for partnering with me. And I definitely appreciate it. And I'm very excited for our partnership and friendship.
Thank you, Alex. It's great to have actually a veteran's perspective, not just an industry professional, but an actual veteran's perspective on what I've been teaching and preaching and screaming from the rooftops for so many years now. Yes. Thank you for that. And likewise, look forward to a long partnership as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ella. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.